Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a while since I made a video, but this is chapter 3 of the American College of Sports Medicine, or ACSM, Resources for the Personal Trainer. I'm just gonna briefly cover this because this is a really long chapter. Myself, I've been in a few anatomy and physiology classes. Uh, I've taken classes at the local community college with like biology and had a lot of hands-on experience with like muscle systems and so what chapter 3 is anatomy and kinesiology, and like I said, I've taken many classes at the community college to help me with this in the past. I also took some classes in high school. That was 10 years ago though, but this is a very intensive chapter, and I definitely recommend spending a long, a large amount of time on this chapter because there is a lot to learn, and an understanding of this, and also the next chapter, biomechanics, chapter 4, is really fundamental in being a good personal trainer. Um, so chapter 3, it goes over some really important things are planes of motion and axes of rotation. Um, so definitely study a lot of that. I would get into more detail with about everything I'm about to tell you to look into. That's important, but it would be like a 40-minute, and not even then. Like I could go on and on and on about anatomy and kinesiology. Um, but definitely study the planes of motion or the plane, yeah, planes of movement. Um, like frontal plane or coronal plane, sagittal plane, transverse plane. Um, it also chapter 3 also goes over terminology in regards to anatomy, such as like anterior, posterior, superficial, coronal, proximal, distal. Those are all very important terms to understand and have in your dictionary or whatever. Um, when it's I could get into why, but it's very important to understand these because when you're reading like medical literature or talking with other personal trainers, it's nice to know what you're talking about and know what they're talking about as well. So study the terms of anatomical locations and positions. It's really important. Another thing that's very important is joint movement, such as like flexion and extension, and what plane that is happening on. And also like prime movers and I'm spaced on the other one, but joint movement is very important. Something to help you could be first of all the Prep U thing. Prep U Academy is very beneficial in the way that it gives you test questions. So it'll allow you to see how the questions will be phrased on the test. Um, Another thing that could help you is possibly Khan Academy. It has a bunch of free courses and stuff on there. But I would say the biggest thing that could help you is possibly getting into an anatomy class at your local community college, or possibly contacting an instructor and seeing if there's any study times that you can participate in. For me, uh, it took me many years to get this down, half because I wasn't really focused on it, and half because there's so much to learn. Um, in high school, what we did was we had a skeleton that was about 2 feet tall. That what we did is we had to make every single muscle in the human body out of clay, and we had to striate it correctly, and we had to study the origin and insertion points on that like 2 foot skeleton. And I had to do it all alone, all by myself. So that gave me a really great understanding of anatomy and where everything is located and the different types of layers of muscle. It's really complex, but it's also really simple if you make it simple. But it is really important to study that and really know. And looking at it in a two-dimensional plane, it's okay, but it's not the best. It's best to get inside and look at uh, a skeleton or something that shows where uh, the muscles and bones are on an actual, or a not an actual human body, but a skeleton. Uh, so I would really highly suggest doing that, or possibly buying a skeleton and studying that. Another thing that this chapter goes over is classification of joints in the human body, like fibrous, cartilaginous, synovial. Most joints are synovial joints, and for each of those, there's different types of joints for those three categories. So, for synovial, there's like ellipsoidal, saddle, plane joints, hinge joints, bicondylar, pivot, ball and socket. There's a lot of different kinds. And excuse me for if you can't really decipher what I'm saying. I just had mouth surgery, so it's a little bit hard to pronounce my words correctly. But it's really important to know the different types of joints in the body and how they work and how they operate. And then it also goes on. To talk about all of the muscles in the human body, which, like I said previously, is very, very, very important, because as a personal trainer, you're mostly going to be dealing with building muscle or losing fat, but it's also good to build muscle. That's pretty much the main thing of us. And there's so many muscles to memorize and understand. Also, a little tip is, a lot of things in this field are derived from Latin terminology, so if you get a base understanding of Latin down, it's a lot easier to understand or decipher what they're talking about. So something as in like flexor, carpi, radialis. Well, it's a flexor muscle, it says it in the name. Carpi has to do with your hands. Radialis has to do with your radius. It's once you start understanding the like prefixes and stuff, it's really easy to understand where the muscle is located and what it does. So definitely study that. And then it also goes into this chapter is really in depth, and it has a lot of great information. So spend a lot of time on it. Don't just skim it. Spend a lot of time. Make sure that you master it. Different like bone structures, like what a process is. The joints are pretty cool because it kind of tells you where the joint is in the joint name. So like acromioclavicular joint, it's the joint between your acromion and your clavicle. Pretty simple. Different kind of movements. So yeah, this chapter, like I've been saying, is very, very important, and it's really good to spend as much time as you possibly can on it. And get some real life practicing in. Maybe get a friend and who is on the same path as you, and kind of like demonstrate like what motion is this, and on what plane, and what muscles are at play, and like get a lot of practice in. For me, it took me quite a while, but I did a lot of flashcards. I did a lot of before class studying. I did a lot of lunch studying, and I did a lot of after class studying. And I went in on extra hours to study. And I'm not a quick learner. I'm actually pretty fucking stupid. But it helped me a lot. But it took quite a long time. But it definitely helped me a lot. And it will take some time. You gotta have some patience. So you know what? With that, I think I'm gonna end it. There's so much information in here. I could go over so much stuff, but for time's sake, I'm gonna cut it a little bit short. And I just suggest, like, all my suggestions in this video pretty much boil down to study it and make sure that you know the human anatomy and kinesiology. That's like the base of our profession here, and it's very, very important for you to know it. And also, when you're working with clients, if you're using improper terms, it could lead to confusion. It could lead to lack of confidence. it could lead to injury too if you don't have a basic understanding of how your body operates and what's going on. Then it could definitely lead to injury, um, bad reputation, less money, less fun, frustration. Kind of defeats the whole purpose why, I don't know about you, but why I got into this field. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and I wish you the best. Chapter 4 will be up shortly. Then the subsequent videos should be uploaded in a lot shorter time, at least one a week. I have a lot going on, but I hope that this is helping you in some way. I hope that my tips can help you, and I hope that my reviews can help you. And in the future, I look forward to doing a lot more in-depth videos. But for time's sake, I'm going to cut this one short and wish you the best. Thank you very much. This is ACSM, or American College of Sports Medicine, Resources for the Personal Trainer, 5th edition, Chapter 3, Anatomy and Kinesiology.